Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy Friday. Hope we had a wonderful week and really, quite frankly, a wonderful month because it's been about that long since I last saw you. In fact, I think it might be to the day even since I last made a video. Now, again, I do want to start by saying I do apologize for that, and I know I kind of left a lot of you just hanging out there to dry, especially with how active it has been the past couple of weeks. I know a lot of folks have seen some crazy things, and I really can't wait to read those comments today on all of those interesting weather events you've all seen since I last talked to you. Now, if you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing, and also, if you don't want to hear me ramble, definitely feel free to kind of move ahead here. But I am going to quickly talk a little bit about kind of non-weather related things and a little bit about, a little bit more about myself and kind of the past month or so, just to kind of catch you all up on what's been going on. And again, I'd love to hear about you as well and what you've been up to. But again, if you're a regular, definitely feel free to stay and listen. Even if you're new, feel free to stay and listen. Otherwise, timestamps are below, and you can skip ahead to kind of get that forecast on this very active weather that is continuing, especially with that eclipse forecast kind of up in the air here going into Monday. Alrighty, so to talk a little bit again, the last time I made a video I think was early March, and since then I've had quite a very interesting month, a month of a lot of growth, a lot of learning, and a lot of valuable lessons. So unfortunately I did get in a car accident about a month ago, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. I was fine, but it did cause a lot of paperwork problems I had to get through, a lot of trying to find a rental, trying to find a new way to get to school, new way to get back from school, and just again a lot of kind of travel problems with that. I also got quite sick there for a little bit. I had, unfortunately, a pretty unfortunate sinus infection, which, a lot of people get this time of year, and unfortunately I was not immune to that. Luckily, I felt a lot better since. Also, outside of that, school has just been quite, frankly, pretty crazy here. Been a lot of homework assignments, a lot of projects, and we're getting into that time of the year where I'm sure any other college students or former college students understand it can just get kind of hectic out there. Just a lot of work, and sometimes, other things get kind of put on the back burner for just a little while. So again, a lot of active things the past couple months, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I've caught up on some of my work, homework that is. Also, I did change jobs. I forgot to mention that. I'm kind of getting settled in there a little bit more, and now I have a new car that I can easily drive around with. So. That's just a little bit about some of the things I've done the past month, and again, I know it's no excuse to kind of just leave you all hanging out to dry, and should there be another time that I take a little bit of a break, I'll definitely try to do better at letting you know ahead of time, which also reminds me, I do want to thank all of you that messaged me on Facebook, or left a comment, or found another way to get in contact with me, and checked on me. Again, that really does mean the world to me. It's, quite honestly, just spectacular and unbelievable to know that there are people across the country whom I've never met in person that care enough to reach out and check on me. So again, that means the world to me. And again, you guys are really kind of a lot of the motivation that is getting me through this degree. Trust me, I'm not very good at math. There's a lot of math I'm doing, a lot of coding, a lot of other things that, quite frankly, I do not find very fun. But again, making these videos and remembering that there's folks out there that are rooting for me and cheering me on really does mean a lot, and it's a lot of the motivation to get on through this. Alright, I think I've rambled on enough. Let's go and talk about some weather, because again, it has been a while here, and we have a good bit to talk about. As you can see on our map out here, we've got plenty of watches, advisories, warnings, and even some active precipitation falling out there. So we'll kind of zoom in a little bit here on the northeast and even portions of eastern Canada here through New Brunswick and PEI, and even down into portions of Nova Scotia as well. So all this that you're seeing falling up here is really mostly falling in the form of snow. Let me change colors here so we can kind of see what I'm drawing a little bit easier on your screen here. So all this is due to this big upper level low that is over the eastern United States right now, kind of positioned somewhere around here. And what that is doing is just bringing this huge pocket of cold air with it down out of Canada. And that is also, kind of crossing some of these Great Lakes and just bringing some lift of its own and causing some of that snow to work on in to portions of the Northeast this afternoon. Now, as we slowly work westbound, you'll notice that cold air is not just in the Northeast. In fact, we've got plenty of frost advisories and freeze warnings here for portions of the kind of upstate South Carolina, I-85 corridor through North Carolina, back into the Ohio River Valley, Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis, back towards St. Louis, down towards Nashville, Columbus, Ohio. Again, we're going to see some cold evenings here as this cold air really settles in, and it just makes it feel a lot more like February or March compared to April now. And again, we're a pretty good week into April, so this is definitely abnormally cold air for this time of year. Now, as we work back out towards the plains, you'll notice a whole lot going on out here as well. We've got red flag warnings and kind of these pinkish reddish colors, high wind warnings and kind of that Dijon kind of color there through Nebraska and Kansas, and all of this is due to what's happening out west. You'll notice also out here, plenty of precipitation falling with high elevation winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. Eventually, what's causing this low pressure is going to slowly work eastbound, cross the Rockies, and finally eject out over the Great Plains and bring some severe weather threat and other problems. But before that, just all of that wind and dry air in front of that is really going to bring quite a fire danger out here today. So watching out for that for you folks as well. Alrighty, taking a look at satellite imagery. Again, it is pretty active out there, and I'll show you another map here in a second that I think does a great job at kind of summarizing the overall pattern. But just know, right now, again, one disturbance kind of over the northeast, another disturbance out west, and some more active weather kind of in between here, more associated with that western piece of energy. Now, in between today, it's going to be pretty nice. Again, here in Charlotte, where I live, it is a pretty nice morning out there, blue skies. Same story for a lot of folks kind of into the center or east central part of the country, at least through the Ohio River Valley, back down into the Mississippi River Valley, and especially the further south you get, kind of here through Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and kind of surrounding states here. Again, quite a nice day in store. It's more kind of up into the northeast and back out west that we're seeing more of that active weather for a lot of folks today, and we'll even continue, past today as well. So as I said, I think this map does a great job of kind of summarizing what we're looking at here. I show this all the time with the 500 millibar height anomaly. What this kind of just shows us is where we have pockets of cold air and where that cold air could be causing some precipitation to develop as well. So here we go. Again, we've got a massive area of kind of some cold air back out into the east, and as I talked about, that is bringing precipitation into the northeast, but also just good old-fashioned cold air for much of us in the east as a whole. Now back out west, again, another big trough here, or another area of cold air indicated by that blue. Once again, bringing some lift, bringing some mountain snow, and bringing some cold air for many folks there out into the Rockies and even along the west coast as well. Another great map to show this is just our good old-fashioned temperature map here, and you'll notice here's where the cold temperatures are and here's where the warm temperatures are. Again, that trough in the east definitely keeping things cool up into the northeast and into the Midwest even, and also quite chilly back out west as well with that other trough. Now it's everywhere kind of in between that is getting in on more of those summer-like temperatures, and you'll notice that out here into Texas getting well up into the 80s this afternoon. Same story through the Gulf Coast states, down through Louisiana, Florida, very nice afternoon. In fact, close to beach weather, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with how warm that Atlantic Ocean is right now, and something we're going to have to watch going into hurricane season as well, I will mention now. But again, just kind of, you can spot where we have the disturbances and where we kind of have the nicer weather on in between those disturbances on this map. So it does a great job of showing us. All right, now let's kind of break this down. Again, we've got some active weather in a couple places. Let's talk about the now, and then I'll give you kind of a little bit of a summary here. Or excuse me, I'll slowly kind of work this ahead into time and talk about what's on the horizon here throughout the next couple of days. In fact, actually, I'm going to back up a little bit and let me give you a quick summary of what we're going to talk about as a whole, and then we'll kind of break this down region by region. So again, on this map, as I showed you, kind of what we're seeing right now, I'm going to move this ahead in time a little bit. So as we get into this weekend, you'll notice that big blob in the east of cold air slowly kind of tries to work eastbound and kind of bring in that cold air out of the region and the wintry weather as well. Again, slowly going to work offshore. But as that's happening, that big area back out west is then going to slowly work in. And finally, what's going to happen is that piece of energy is going to kind of tighten up and eject out of the Rockies and into the Great Plains. So Saturday and Sunday, you'll notice, again, slowly clearing out east, but here comes another storm system that'll likely bring some severe weather, some rain, and even some snow for some folks as that crosses the north central tier of the country. Now that one will be impactful, will bring impacts, but this is the bigger deal, and this is going to be important for our eclipse forecast as well as even more potential active weather down the road into next week. Here we go. Another kind of area of some troughing here with this trough axis back out west into the desert southwest that is slowly going to swing on through and eventually kind of get down into Texas and into the southern tier of the country going into the middle of next week. And finally, we'll slowly ride up through the Ohio River Valley, and that area could again bring some very active weather and some disturbed weather for a lot of folks next week. So I know this past week was crazy. Don't let your guard down. We're going to do it all again next week, although, again, a little different, definitely, but still, nonetheless, an active pattern continuing here into the long run. All right, let's talk about today a little bit and where we're going to see some of that more active weather. And the Northeast is definitely one of those places. In fact, again, some pretty widespread snow showers this afternoon. You'll notice plenty of these kind of snow squalls coming in off the Great Lakes here, working in And again, just going to kind of slowly work into the interior northeast. So a lot of folks are going to see snow showers today, maybe some sleet mixing in, maybe even some graupel. We had some graupel in Virginia yesterday, and even portions, I think, of North Carolina saw some. So again, all kind of types of frozen precipitation, if you will, kind of working on through this part of the country this afternoon. Now, as we go through this evening, again, that continues. These snow showers slowly working on into the interior northeast. More likely to be drizzle or light rain. Again, maybe some sleet along the I-95 corridor, but impacts, again, should be pretty limited there. It's going to be more of these higher elevations further inland to the northeast. Let's see really any type of accumulation out of this. Now this continues into overnight tonight, although lightening up slowly here. You'll notice though where our low pressure is centered here, we could see, a good little band of some light snow falling overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning through sections of Maine. And we'll talk about Canada here in a second as well. So again, just noting that this will slowly calm down throughout the evening hours tonight. And by the time we're getting into Saturday afternoon, we could see a bit of a resurgence here. So you'll notice the low pressure isn't quite moving offshore. It's kind of meandering a little bit, maybe even moving back towards the Boston area a little bit. Could bring some light rain tomorrow afternoon into coastal New England from Rhode Island up through Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Again, could see some of that rain, while we're still dealing with maybe some light snow showers and flurries and light rain and maybe some sleet pellets working on into the interior northeast throughout the day Saturday. But again, slowly warming up here and slowly bringing out this warming trend, and then once again calming down into the overnight hours again on Saturday going into Sunday. So snowfall totals here, again, it's going to be very elevation dependent along the I-95 corridor, really nothing at all. Maybe some novelty snowflakes or sleet pellets could mix in with that rain. But overall, the real impacts are going to be in the interior northeast here. You'll notice some of these higher elevations up through, the Adirondacks there into northern New York State, into the Green Mountains, and even into kind of the higher terrains of northern Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Also, I'll mention, our folks into the higher elevations of West Virginia could get a couple of inches of snow out of this. I know we're a little bit past ski season here, but still some novelty snowflakes there that could, definitely lead to a couple inches accumulating there for you folks. So again, very elevation dependent snowfall here, but some folks, again, could pass half a foot of snow on these highest peaks here in northern New York State and into northern Maine. All right, our friends in Canada, you're also no stranger to the snow here, and we're going to see that continue into this afternoon. So again, New Brunswick, I think, is going to be the real winner in snowfall here. This is this afternoon again, seeing that snow falling there, falling into northern Maine, and kind of into surrounding areas there. That continues into overnight tonight as this low pressure continues to just meander, and even bringing some of that snow back up into sections of Newfoundland as well. I think I'm getting that island right. Newfoundland and Labrador, potentially. I hope. I think we got New Brunswick, we got Nova Scotia, and then Newfoundland and Labrador. I promise I'm studying it. I'll get better. But either way, kind of some of these southeastern areas of Canada definitely getting in on some snow here, and that continues into tomorrow morning here. You'll notice that snow is still falling for a lot of folks. Likely rain, I think, in Nova Scotia, just as we have a little bit more of that warm air kind of getting pulled northward here. But north of there, again, through New Brunswick and Newfoundland and Labrador, definitely seeing some snowflakes here into our overnight tonight and into our Saturday afternoon here. That continues even into Saturday evening before I think finally we calm down a little bit going into Sunday afternoon, and we begin to dry out and slowly warm up a little bit into next week as well. All right, snowfall totals here. I know this map is really zoomed out, but it's the best I could do for you, unfortunately. So again, though, some of these areas could see, ballpark, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 20 to 30 centimeters of snow before all is said and done. And again, that's a total amount. So that's including maybe what's already fallen a little bit as well as what's on the way. But again, definitely some pretty impressive snowfall totals here, even for April standards. Again, kind of here into portions of New Brunswick, even up into extreme northern and northeastern Nova Scotia here, and then again into the southern sections of Labrador and Newfoundland here. Could see a good 5 to 10 centimeters of snow as well. All right, very quickly, I want to talk about the Mid-Atlantic. Again, not much out here in the way of snow, but we could see a couple rain showers into the Ohio River Valley this afternoon. I figured it was worth mentioning here. Again, from Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana. Pretty cloudy day with some little, pockets of showers kind of rolling on through. Maybe even some graupel again could happen. Maybe some sleet mixing in. But really, any of the snow that falls will be in the higher elevations of West Virginia here. And also, I would be surprised if any of that precipitation kind of makes it south of North Carolina or Tennessee here. this afternoon before, again, we clear back out into tomorrow afternoon and have a much nicer day for Saturday here. Again, still a tad chilly, especially for this time of year, but nonetheless, overall, pretty nice conditions for a lot of folks here in the Mid-Atlantic and into portions of the Ohio River Valley, especially tomorrow. Just got to get through today with some more of those clouds for some of you, and even some areas of rain showers, and maybe even some grapple, as I mentioned. All right, out west, again, active weather out here. I'm going to kind of breeze on through this one a little bit as well, just because we have a lot to talk about today, and we're already 15 minutes into this thing. So, again, snow falling, though, out here into the higher terrains of the Rockies today, into tonight, into tomorrow on Saturday here, and you'll notice this kind of lasts for a while through Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, the Cascades, even down into the mountains of Oregon and kind of surrounding areas here as well. Definitely going to get some pretty good snowfall out of this system throughout this weekend. Now, by the time we're getting into Sunday afternoon here, it's becoming more light in nature, and again, really kind of I guess more of a higher elevation event for a lot of folks. Not really too much valley snow out of this. But again, just kind of continues into this weekend before I think Monday afternoon here, we finally begin to calm down a little bit and dry on out for a lot of folks. But again, got to get through the next couple of days before we get there. Now, total snowfall here, again, plenty is on the way, trust me, and, again, some of these higher terrains could see a foot to 2 feet of snow, not out of the question, and I say this anytime we look at snow out west, but really, I would just go to weather.gov, click on your location, because this is going to be so elevation dependent, and kind of get a better idea of how much snow you're expecting in your neck of the woods. All right, southwestern United States, again, plenty of snow on the way as well, especially into the Sierra Nevadas here. A lot of it going to fall here over the next couple of days. This is this afternoon here. You'll notice still plenty of mountain snow rolling on through into overnight tonight, calming down a little bit, and really calming down by Saturday afternoon. I think most of the snow that falls in this part of the country, again, really going to be today and tonight before tomorrow it moves off more towards the Four Corners into Utah and Colorado specifically. And again, by the time we get into Sunday afternoon, kind of clearing out once again. Still some light snow showers kind of working on through Nevada and maybe portions of Northern California. But by the time we get into Monday afternoon, really once again kind of clearing out. Just some scattered rain showers and snow showers into the Four Corners. So nothing too impactful here, but again, definitely worth mentioning. And again, could see some more impressive snowfall totals here down into the Cascades and even down into some of these higher elevations down into Southern California. You could definitely see some high snowfall totals as well, maybe upwards of a foot on some of these mountains, again, not far from LA and San Diego. So definitely interesting stuff there. And some snow also up into northern Nevada, into Utah, higher terrains of Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado as well. All right, that same system that caused all that snow out west and is going to cause all that snow out west, as I mentioned earlier, is eventually going to kind of try to work back into the plains, and with that, we are going to see a resurgence of some severe weather chances. So here we go. Starting as early as tomorrow, we've got a marginal and slight risk of severe weather for portions of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. Again, could see some stronger storms trying to roll on through tomorrow, and by the time we get into our Sunday, once again, another chance of severe storms, albeit pretty light here with only a marginal risk. And I can't imagine this uptrends much more than this. But nonetheless, could see some strong straight line winds with some of these storms, maybe even some hail here on Sunday as well. And then that gets us into Monday with, again, that total solar eclipse a lot of people are talking about. And we'll mention that here in just a second and really dive into the chances of kind of cloud cover or rain or just nice clear skies for that total eclipse. All right, so let's talk about this first storm system a little bit. Here we go. This is Saturday afternoon. Well, let's actually start back in Saturday morning a little bit here. Here's that low pressure I was talking about that is bringing all the snow out west. Again, slowly kind of trying to cross the Rockies here, and it definitely does so by the time we get into Sunday morning here. Now kind of ejecting into the plains of Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas, and by the time we're getting into Saturday afternoon, we've got a pretty strong low pressure system here bringing a pretty, strong area here of some thunderstorms trying to develop. Now, again, I don't think chances are off the charts here. In fact, dew points are very low here, so I think this is definitely going to be more of a kind of structure day, if you will, where you'll see very pretty storms, but I think maybe the tornado threat might be a little bit lower. Meanwhile, the hail threat and straight line wind threat might be a tad bit higher here, just given the setup on Saturday afternoon. Now, the same storm system slowly works eastbound during our Sunday afternoon, and again, that's when we could see some stronger storms trying to form here along the Mississippi River Valley, but again, I think, more like strong storms compared to severe storms. Kind of the hierarchy of storms here, we have just good old-fashioned storms, then you get strong storms, then you get severe storms, and then you kind of, could maybe get dangerous storms after that. But again, I think this is going to be lower end on the severe threat for our Sunday. But what I will mention is, again, we could see some snow on the northern side of this through Wyoming into eastern Montana into Nebraska. Well, yeah, I guess portions of Nebraska, but especially the Dakotas and Minnesota could also see some snow out of this. Outside of that, though, just some good old-fashioned cloud cover and rainy conditions for our Sunday afternoon here for a lot of folks here in the central part of the country. All right, now tying this out a little bit more for you. Again, here it comes going into Saturday afternoon, that low pressure developing, and eventually by the time we're getting into Saturday evening, here's that area of the potential of some showers and maybe even storms kind of trying to form here along this line from Nebraska down through portions of Kansas and even into Oklahoma. And by the time we're getting into overnight Saturday and into Sunday morning here, again, this line of storms slowly going to try to work eastbound, but should die out relatively quickly here by the time we're getting into the early morning hours of Sunday. Again, main threats here are going to be strong straight line winds, maybe a little bit of hail. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado, but really, I don't think the tornado threat is too high out of this. Now, we'll also mention, as I talked about, some snow could fall here as well. And just briefly mentioning that, again, not a lot showing up, but could at least see some flurries fly or maybe even some light snow for a little bit. Accumulations are going to be very low. Maybe a dusting. A couple people could get a quarter to a half an inch of snow here through the central Dakotas and into central Minnesota as well. But really, all things said and done, not really an impactful event here for many of those folks. All right, now let's talk about this eclipse. Again, this is what all of us, I'm sure, in this part of the country are kind of curious about, and really in other parts of the country, because a lot of folks are traveling to see this. Again, it's what they call a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Personally, I was lucky enough to see the last one in 2017, I believe it was. I saw full totality right in my hometown, which, again, was super fun to see. And, again, I definitely recommend, if you can see this, definitely do so. But we are going to run into some problems here, and we still have some forecasting challenges with the eclipse, again, going into Monday, as it kind of crosses from Texas here and into kind of then even portions of the Northeast and into the Ohio River Valley. So again, let's time this out for you. This is Sunday afternoon. As I mentioned, here's that storm system again over the Great Plains. Could be bringing some showers, and as I mentioned, even a couple strong storms here. Now, here's what happens, though. We go into overnight Sunday. This storm system slowly tries to work on out, and by the time we're getting into Monday morning, you're looking at this rainfall map, and you're thinking, okay, well, this isn't too bad. And I'll tell you, we're going to be cutting it very close for a lot of folks here. We're going to be kind of in between systems. We've got this northern system to worry about, but as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have some low pressure and troughing that kind of digs down out of California and gets into Texas. Now, around this time, that's going to slowly be working in, and you'll notice low pressure forming here. That's going to try with these isobars to kind of bring up some more of that warm, humid Gulf air, and that could definitely turn into some cloud cover and maybe even some strong to severe storms Monday afternoon. So we've got to watch that. Again, that's I think the area that is most likely to see nice weather out of this, probably right now, I would say, kind of into the Northeast, and kind of where we're in between these two systems, also more likely to see some nice weather here. Now, the European models kind of shows the same thing here, and again, this is Monday morning. I'll start it off at kind of in between these systems, and as we get into Monday afternoon, again, we're cutting it close here. Rain now kind of beginning to work back in, cloud cover back into the southern tier of the country, although by this point, the eclipse would have already passed. And again, still kind of stuck in between storm systems here into the Ohio River Valley and into the Northeast as well. Now, luckily, Pivotal Weather does a great job here at showing our eclipse path, which is very useful here. And now let's take a look at kind of some of our different models and what they're showing cloud cover wise. Now, this is our GFS ensembles. You'll notice they're showing very high cloud cover over Texas, over Arkansas, but once we kind of start getting again into this area that's a little bit more in between, again, kind of some nicer conditions, less than 50% cloud cover showing up on this model through areas just south of St. Louis here into southern Illinois, into Indiana, through Indianapolis, and through Ohio, before once again some cloud cover picks up kind of around the Niagara Falls area. Again, a lot of folks I know going there, so maybe not the greatest, but then once again clears back out over portions of Maine and into Canada. Now, that's just one model. Let's take a look at some others. We look at this one and we're thinking, okay, well, this is a lot nicer of a view. Again, still some cloud cover problems down into Texas, but clearing out nicely over Arkansas into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and even staying nice really through much of the Northeast here with pretty low cloud cover chances. Now, if we look at our European operational model run, again, this is Monday morning. Again, pretty cloudy down south. We get a bit of a break in between here for portions, but then really, again, clearing out back into the northeast, specifically northern New York State, back towards Maine and into Canada. Definitely nicer viewing conditions on many of our models. Now, that's not all. Again, I will also mention before we talk about this, we are still a good, I think, 4 or 5 days away. Let's see. We've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so I guess really only about 3 days away now before the eclipse happens. Now, cloud cover is one of those things that really a lot of the times we mess up the day of, let alone 3 days out, and I've seen plenty of posts on social media about this cloud cover map, from weeks ago, and unfortunately, just we're not that far ahead in the science yet. And so you folks that kind of have maybe a forecast that looks kind of dicey right now, don't lose all hope. Don't cancel your Airbnbs, or don't cancel your travel plans quite yet, because again, these things change, and I think as we get closer, we'll have a way better idea of who's going to see cloud cover. And oftentimes with these situations, it's a very sharp cutoff. Some folks could be completely under clouds, while other folks really have completely clear viewing. So again, it's not the best forecast. In fact, I remember in 2017, really, it was about as clear as it could get for a lot of folks. This year, maybe not quite as nice, but some folks are still going to have really, quite honestly, tremendous viewing conditions for that eclipse. Now, the other problem that we're running into here is severe weather. This is Monday, day of the eclipse. We already have an outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for the chance of some strong to severe storms over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and really right through the heart of Texas here, even into the Red River Valley. So again, need to watch out for that. And that's not the only day. We go into Tuesday, another day of severe weather through many of the same places. Wednesday, once more severe weather chances, this time shifted off towards the east a little bit through Louisiana, Mississippi, southern Arkansas, and even portions of Alabama. So a lot of folks here are going to have to worry about severe weather once again this week. And again, some of this could happen even during that eclipse. So, kind of very interesting stuff. Probably, I'm sure, maybe not the best omen to have strong storms during a total solar eclipse, but that's science for you, and it can happen like that sometimes. All right, now let's talk about this a little bit more. So this is Monday afternoon, the latest run of our European model. And again, as I mentioned, we've got two systems here. One up north still hanging around, and another one down south, kind of bringing some of that, warm, humid Gulf air back north, creating clouds, creating storms. The best place you're going to want to be for the eclipse, as I mentioned, up into the northeast here, specifically Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and upstate New York, I think is going to be really nice. And I also think there are going to be areas kind of in between here that I have circled that are in that path of totality that are enough kind of in between the storms that, yes, we'll have some clouds to dodge, but overall speaking, pretty good shot that we see some nice conditions. Unfortunately, though, back down towards Texas, really kind of, a bit more of a dicey forecast here. Anyway, though, as we move this ahead into time, this is Monday afternoon. You'll notice those storms that I mentioned forming along the Gulf. That continues into Tuesday afternoon. Again, could see some strong storms through Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and even into Wednesday afternoon. You'll notice, here we go, this low pressure now really developing here, becoming quite strong, bringing a lot of wind energy, potentially flooding, severe weather through Louisiana, Arkansas, and eventually what happens going into next Thursday and Friday is this moves all the way up through the Ohio River Valley. Here we go next Thursday. Strong low pressure right over potentially, again, portions of Kentucky and Missouri. And to the south here, we're going to have plenty of warm air moving northwards with some wind energy. Again, severe weather even past next Tuesday and Wednesday is very possible into Thursday and maybe even into next Friday as this moves on through the northeast, brings some quite active weather. And then hopefully after that, we calm down a little bit going into next weekend. Now, final map I'll show you here as we dive into the severe weather threat. If we kind of put all of our ingredients together here, this map from our European ensemble members, I think does a great job at showing overall chances for severe weather here. So here we go. Again, strong storms possible Monday afternoon here. You'll notice those chances increasing through southern Texas, coastal Texas, into Louisiana. Again, right through the Austin area, Dallas, Fort Worth. Eventually going into Tuesday afternoon, again, more severe weather chances here through Texas, Louisiana. A lot of people could see multiple days of severe weather here. And as we go into Wednesday, once again, that works eastbound into Louisiana very slowly. But I think by the time we get into Thursday afternoon, these ingredients finally really start to work eastbound. Could see strong storms through Nashville, Birmingham, maybe even Atlanta on Thursday. We just had some strong storms in these cities not long ago. And maybe even Friday afternoon into coastal mid-Atlantic from North Carolina through Virginia. Could also see, once again, some strong storms for you folks before finally we clear on out going into next weekend. So again, we got a lot going on. We've had a lot the past week. Once again, more on the way here, and that eclipse forecast is a tough one. But again, definitely make sure you come back the next couple of days for an update, and I'll also post TikTok videos if that's something you're interested in on that eclipse forecast here. That's linked below in the link tree. I should have the TikTok in there, so feel free to go check it out there as well. Again, pretty long video today, but we had a lot to talk about in the beginning, a lot of catching up to do, and a lot of weather to forecast here as well. So hopefully you found some interest in the video. If you did, definitely consider liking, subscribing, and as always, I appreciate everything you do for me, and I'll see you all tomorrow.